Hello, magnificent human beings. My name is Landon with Yoga New Mexico, where we focus on empowerment, alignment, and strength. You are in the right place, capable and strong. What are we going to do today? It's Wednesday. It's time to learn about something, specifically tadasana, mountain pose. Now, you might be thinking, mountain pose? What? Yeah, mountain pose. I am stoked to talk about just standing there. Really, that's what it is, right? Mountain pose, you're just standing there, you're not doing anything. Wrong. There's so many little things happening in mountain pose. We're going to talk about mountain pose. We're going to talk about Star Wars. We're going to talk about you being a better you. We got lots of awesome things happening in this short, sweet, about 10-12 minute episode happening right now. Stay tuned and I will roll the intro screen. Tadasana mountain pose. You might be thinking, okay, what does this have to do with Star Wars? What does this have to do with anything? Well, I have news for you. I think Tadasana is one of the top 3 misunderstood yoga poses out there. And the reason is because it's complacency. You think, oh, let's just stand here and chill. Well, it's not really how it works. There's lots of subtle things happening, of which we're going to get into in just a second. But there's kind of a mindset thing happening here, and I want to explore that. So specifically about Star Wars. So Luke Skywalker, he's trying to lift the X-Wing out of the marsh there in the swamp in the Dagobah system when he's training with Yoda. And he said, he starts whining. He's like, "Wah, I can't do it. It's too heavy." And he tells Yoda, "You ask the impossible." Well, Yoda then says, "Judge me by my size, do you?" He says, "Size matters not." And think about this with your Tadasana pose. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter any pose that you're doing. There's so much more to it than meets the eye, than what you think. He thinks the X-Wing is this big, unmovable object. Well, then Yoda, what does he do? He strolls in like a boss, boom, lifts the X-Wing, and Luke's like, oh. So, I'm going to put a link down below so we can all watch this again, because it's just like one of the best parts, I think, in the whole series. Anyways, don't judge a posture just by how simple it looks, or even for that matter, by how difficult it looks. I think we often easy poses, we don't do them correct because we get complacent. And hard poses, we never try them because we think they're too hard. So you need to try to find some middle ground here. You probably can do a lot harder yoga postures than you think you can, but no one's ever showed you, or you haven't even, tried. Now, disclaimer, don't injure yourself, but get somebody, who you can have some one-on-one time with, and maybe they'll push you a little bit. Okay, so let's actually look at our Tadasana. So if you watched Monday's class, then you will know that there are 3 parts to Tadasana. Probably can't look this up in an encyclopedia of yoga, but these are the parts that I have found which really help me kind of ground down. So first of all, feet are separated. You can do hips distance or maybe just a little bit shallower than hips distance. But you need to, imagine these are your feet. So usually our weight is kind of on the outside of the edges of our feet, just a little bit, I think. But in Tadasana, we want to bring the weight in just a little bit. Now, again, when I say a little bit, I only mean about 20% of what you could. So if this is 100% and you're almost bringing your knees together, that's way too much. About 20%. So just stand tall, bring the weight in about 20% on the inside edges of those feet. So just distributing it as pretty much kind of as flush as you can. So typically the weight's on the outside edges, and we never think about this because we're just walking around and you don't think about weight distribution on the bottom of your foot. But if you want to distribute it equally, then you need to bring those feet in just a tiny bit. So it's kind of like engaging these inner thigh muscles right here. That's kind of the magic of where it happens, is because if you engage your inner thighs just a tiny bit, then you'll shift that weight inward. So you engage those inner thighs, and then think about tucking your tailbone here. And that's often, I think, a bad cue, is like tuck your tailbone, because your tailbone moves by proxy when you engage your pelvic floor. So squeeze your inner thighs, and then again, 20%, not 100%, but just gently engage your pelvic floor. So you engage those inner thighs to move that weight on your feet, and then engage your pelvic floor about 20 to 30%, just a little bit, and stop right here. So do you feel this sort of like trunk, powerful feeling from your hips down? This is Tadasana. This is like the root, strong core of the pose. You feel it in the earth, and you know, it feels like if someone were to come push you, you couldn't move out of the way. So place your hands on your hips, because it's best to have your hands here to illustrate this next point. Then once you have your strong core, that first part, well, not core, your foundation, then you elongate through your low and upper back. So there's kind of this dichotomy in a lot of yoga postures, right? You're grounding in one area, but you're lengthening in another, and you're stretching in another, and you're, you know, so there's kind of this weird pull and play here. But you ground down with our trunk like we're talking about, elongate through that low, mid, upper back. Then the third part is to relax these shoulders down and back and lift your sternum. Eye gaze lifts gently. Don't torque your neck, don't bring it down, but just, I would say, a little bit above the horizon. So wherever you think you see the horizon is, just lift your eye gaze up just a little bit. And bam, this is Tadasana. So let's go over all these parts again, because when you kind of build up these blocks, I think it makes for a really excellent posture. Also, Tadasana is an excellent pose to kind of take almost a break in your yoga practice. So say you're going through a bunch of vinyasa and, excuse me, you're going through a bunch of vinyasa and you realize, oh man, my heart rate's getting up, I'm starting to lose control of my breath. Come into Tadasana, stand there, and do these little tricks, these little cues. Take 4 or 5 breaths, and then keep moving. Kind of helps you to connect with your breath, your intention, and just send you on your way. Okay, so one more time. First, the weight comes on the inside of those feet just a little bit, so you engage those inner thighs. Just, again, 20%, just a little bit. And then pelvic floor engages, you do that, so your tailbone tucks, but don't think about tucking your tailbone. It just happens naturally with, engaging that pelvic floor just a little bit. So nice, strong legs on the mat. Hands on your hips first so that you can feel that lengthening out through that low and mid back. And then shoulders down and back, sternum lifts, eye gaze above the horizon, breathe. And that is your Tadasana. So if you found this video of value, hit the share button and maybe send it to a friend. I am really excited to do this week's worth of content, and specifically on Tadasana, because again, I think it's so misunderstood and we bring a lot of complacency into our practice in easy postures. So don't be complacent in your yoga practice. Focus on each and everything. Bring yourself into the present moment and just stay with it, because you will have a much better practice each and every time. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already. And, well, yeah, you are a magnificent human being. You're in the right place. You're capable and strong. From my heart to all of yours, namaste.